Thanks so much for tuning into this conversation with Medicure. It's a business in focus because they've done a really good job in terms of numbers. Yesterday, amongst others, Investec as a house initiated coverage, talked about a well curated growth trajectory from there. And by virtue of the fact that this brokerage and some others believe that there's a set of expansion plans which Medicure is bringing on board over the course of the next 12 to 18 months, which will help the company set up the stage for the next phase of growth. Mr. Himanshu Baid, who heads the company, joins in right now to talk about how he sees the next 12 months, arguably the next 60 odd months as well. Mr. Baid, good having you. Thanks for taking the time out. Can we start off, Mr. Baid, by understanding from you what is Medicure all about as things stand today, and how do you usher it into what it will look like, say, maybe between the next 24 to next 60 months?
Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the background, what we do. So we make medical devices, and basically they are focused around fluid management. And we cover a very vast spectrum of products like vascular access, infusion therapy, dialysis, renal care, blood transfusion, diagnostic, gastroenterology, and then focusing into critical care going forward. So in most of these categories, especially in vascular access and infusion, we have a leadership position, not only in India, but also in markets outside India. And currently we are exporting products to 125 countries. And that trajectory continues to grow. And we are adding more and more products in the same basket. So the core focus has been fluid management, managing fluids which are going inside the body and the fluids which are coming outside the body. And we are using different medical devices to bring them inside the body or take them outside the body. And that's the core focus. And currently we run around 9 manufacturing plants in India and 3 outside India. And I'm including in 9 the 4 new which will be live within this year. And this will add significant capacity in what we are doing today and growing to the next stage. On the product side, we continue to add around 6 to 8 products every year, new products. And as a company, we hold close to around 370 patents in different geographies. And we have around 75 applications which are pending. We continue to add new technologies, new product designs, new models, which we are able to patent as a company and ensure that the technology is protected. And whatever R&Ds we're doing with a team of around 60 odd people, we continue to excel in that direction. Going forward, yes, there's a huge opportunity available within India as well as outside India. Within India, if you look at the current hospital size, there are around 20,000 plus hospitals in the country, over 50 bed. And we cover close to around 7,000 hospitals. So we still have to cover the balance, I would say 2/3 of the market in the country, where we have to be present in each one of these hospitals. And we should not, give away the fact that today the healthcare sector is expanding very rapidly, especially in Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4 cities. Of course, Tier 1 is saturated because we don't have enough land area to expand the hospital space. But when we look at Tier 2, Tier 3, it's a rapid expansion happening. Even standalone hospitals are growing much faster today. So we think that with that growth, with our horizontal movement towards going into more hospitals in the next 4 to 5 years, we can double our reach, let's say from 6,000-7,000 to 12,000-13,000, and then going deeper in each hospital we operate today. Maybe on the wallet size, we have maybe around 6-7% in each hospital. So can we increase the wallet share and in the category we operate? So can we double our wallet share in the next 4 or 5 years? That's also the plan to do that. And then, when we look at, new growth which is coming in the healthcare sector, a lot of government support on the policy framework, where we see a new medical device policy, we see a new policy on R&D in medical device sector, which has recently been announced. And then, of course, the regulatory environment getting stronger in the country. And I think that was a key need and demand from the industry, because if we don't have regulations, then we have substandard products being sold in the country, without any control, without any regulatory oversight. So by 1st October 2023, all medical devices sold in the country will get regulated. So all that is a positive sign for companies which are today operating already in regulated environment, because Polymed operates in 125 countries. We're selling there. So we comply to all these regulatory standards, global standards. So that will also help us to, be in this market. And then of course import substitution is another big area in the country today, where 60-70% import dependence is there on medical devices. So that area, that focus is also there today. So all that combined together, then export potential in Europe, which is one third of our revenue is coming from Europe. So that will also, continue to grow for us at a good pace. And then recent approvals on FDA, US FDA, where we have received already a couple of approvals. We are already working on more products to be, finalized for US market. So overall, yes, you asked me what is now and what is 60 months. So 60 months, it looks very exciting because uh, we have reached, let's say a threshold where, and I call it a Polymer 2.0, because first 25 years were, let's say, till the COVID period, from 97 when we started till 22, we were in a different phase. It took us 25 years to reach our first milestone of 1,000 crores. But I think the next milestone of 1,000 crores will be much faster. It could come in 3-4 years.
Okay. Just two or three things. I'm guessing from all that you've told me, the size of the opportunity is not a problem. It will probably depend on how quickly and how well you can tap into those. I'm trying to understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm trying to understand, how do you do that? So one, what would the current split be, Mr. Baid, between what you're doing domestically versus what you're doing on the export side? Is the export side a lot more lucrative, or is the domestic side more margin accretive? And how do you see this develop over the course of the next 2-3 years as you hit the second 1,000 crores or hit a revenue of 2,000 crores whenever you do?
So absolutely. So when you look at the market opportunity in India, it's huge. And as I told you earlier, the scope, the vertical growth, horizontal growth is possible, and plus the industry is growing. So for that, we have set up 4 new manufacturing plants. So that is the first trigger. So infrastructure we built in 25 years, we are going to build in 2.5 years. So my story from 97 to 2022 is first 25 years. But the next infrastructure which we need for growth, we'll build in 2.5 years. So, and that's the reason we are very hopeful that we will double up the revenue much faster than what we have done in the past. And of course, that capital raise in 2021 was also a trigger to grow the business faster, because we could spend more money in building infrastructure and grow. And then, of course, we need more people on the ground. So currently we have around 400 direct reps in India, and which are clinical, marketing, and sales reps. And we're adding 100 more people. And as time progresses, we'll be adding more people, more rapidly, so that we can grow horizontally also. Now coming to the business side, the business split today is 1/3 is India, 1/3 is Europe, and 1/3 is the rest of the world. But if you see 5 years from now, I don't think it's going to change much, because for us, exports again is very important. We are in very important markets like Europe. We'll be addressing the US market, soon. So all these markets are lucrative for the company, and we hope that we continue the same growth rate across the whole spectrum. So India will be around that range of 30 to 35%, and the exports will be in the range of 60 to 65%. And I think that is what we see in next 4 or 5 years.
So do you get this growth, higher numbers? And by the way, are you being conservative? Most notes that I read mentioned that while you hit your 1,000 crores in 2023, you'll probably nudge double the mark, not in 4 years, but in 3 years. So are you in the policy of under promising and over delivering? That's why you're saying 4 years?
No, well, that's hard to say. I can't comment on that. But of course, we are a public company. We have to definitely give a guidance to our shareholders and our investors, and at least we give a guidance what we can achieve. That's the most important thing.
Sure. Okay.
And yeah, so the guidance for 24 is already there. For 23 also, we had given FY 23 20% growth. We hit that number. And in 24 also, we are giving guidance of 20% plus. So we should be able to hit that number also very easily. And first quarter, we have already grown by 28% if we compare with the last year. So we continue to go in the same trajectory. But yes, there are a lot of triggers which can redefine the growth rate, but we'll see how it progresses. But the new capacity which we are adding is only going to come by end of this year, because the plants are going to be operational. The regulatory landscape, we have to get regulations in place, we have to get all approvals in place, for the plants, and for export permissions, export approvals. So with that positioning, I think the future years, maybe the growth rate changes more, maybe we have not given the guidance, but we may be more on the positive side.
Got it. Does, in a business like yours, does operating leverage come into play for improving the metrics as well as size grows, or not really?
So yes, it would come into in picture definitely, and as we get more capacity in place, if we have here customer acquisition is a key. That when you are getting into a hospital, to get to sell the first product to a hospital is the most difficult part. But then to add more products in the same funnel or same hospital becomes easier and much faster. And I think with that operating leverage, we should be able to perform better. But again, there's a development cost. Some products need more upgradation in technology, so that continues. So our guidance is that we should continue with the 25% first EBITDA margins in next years, and I think that is what we are planning to do. And if we do better, then I think it is will be because of operating leverage, and maybe it's better, let's say, realization on the products.
Okay, yeah. The other point that I was thinking was that because you are one of the leading companies now versus what you would have been maybe 5 years or 10 years ago, you can now choose the kind of products that you will introduce and pursue maybe, and which might be higher margin in nature, because now you have a minimum size with which you can operate any which ways.
Yeah, so that's correct. So basically, when we look at, so we don't want to do products where we don't see new innovation coming up in next 5-10 years.
Okay.
So Polymed as a company, we select products where we can innovate and where we can add a differentiator in the business or product. Let's say every 3, 4, 5 years. It's like a car. Every 3, 4 years the model changes. Why? Because they want to attract the customer. Here, if we have to open new doors with hospitals or doctors or clinicians, then we have to have some clinical superiority on the product every 3, 4 years. That will keep on attracting, and that also helps, for better clinical outcomes, more user friendliness on the products. So that is the innovation which has to be continuous on the medtech field. And that's how you survive in this industry. If you're going to continue to do Me Too products, then I think it becomes a commodity, and then it's very difficult to survive.
No, the other reason why I was trying to ask you is because the note that we read yesterday that I was citing in the introduction spoke about how newer therapies and the US ramp up will actually drive growth diversification. I presume they also mean diversification with better metrics.
Yeah, of course. So as we are getting more, as I told you earlier, the new division we started is the critical care division. The critical care division is where products are mostly used in ICU, intensive care units. And there, the patient is staying longer time, the products are more critical in nature. So there definitely the pricing changes, the matrix changes, and there will be competing more with multinational companies. And which are imports which are happening in the country. So that will definitely give us a better leverage, better margins. Of course, its initial phase is a startup phase. Initial, launch costs will be little bit higher. But as it normalizes in the next couple of years, then definitely the margin profile may change.
Got it. Mr. Baid, last couple of questions. Sorry, I'll take 2 more minutes more than what we had earlier thought of. One is, we seeing the pace of realization of wanting to substitute imports being very brisk from the government side as well, happening across sectors. And as you mentioned, a large portion of medical equipment still being imported. My question to you would be, I know you're getting some capacities on stream and you'll probably stabilize them over the course of the next 2-3 years. But since so much of it is imported, could it happen, sir, that you might go ahead and now or do more capex while you're trying to stabilize your existing capacities which are coming on stream, simply because the opportunity size is so large?
No, I agree with you totally here, and I think it's about technology. It's about products we'll select going forward. So the capex doesn't stop. So we have already done close to 500 crores of capex in last few years. This year, including this year, will be close to 500 crores, which is 200 crores within this year. We are doing capex. So this capex cycle, see, medtech is very heavy capex dependent. So, and again, we are talking of technology here, is medical technology. So we have to keep on investing in technology as and when we expand more on the space. Like for example, oncology is one of the big area where we want to expand in future. And we already have a plant in Italy which makes products supporting oncology treatment, cancer care treatment, when you are doing, giving oncology drugs to patients. So we will want to expand that capacity, and probably if we leverage that into India, I think that could be a huge opportunity for us going forward to, grow that business into India and neighboring markets. So we are already doing that. Manufacturing happening in Europe. We want to bring it to India. We are looking for adjacent technologies in this area of drug delivery in oncology field. And whenever see a good opportunity, we will definitely go and take it and try to bring it to India so that we can leverage it with lower cost base and expand it rapidly.
Got it. My final question, and that is the acceptance of Indian manufacturing in critical areas globally as well. Thus far, and by virtue of the fact that we import so much, one can very easily see that we were not the domestic or global manufacturing hub, if you will. I've seen a few instances of companies telling me that their products are getting accepted at a global scale. You are one more company like that. Just trying to understand the level of acceptance globally for products of such critical nature made in India. And do you reckon that market only expands at a faster clip than earlier before, and therefore presents a big opportunity for companies like yours?
Yeah, see, I think in medtech, we are seeing, the one big change what I'm seeing in last few years is a geopolitical change, where a lot of, companies in Europe and America are looking at India as a manufacturing base. Now, India was never a manufacturing base for medical devices.
Precisely.
We were only in low tech areas. But now I think in last 3 years, almost 1,000 new small companies have come up in medtech manufacturing. You can see if you look at CDSCO website, pre-COVID there were 1,000 companies having manufacturing license in the country. Post-COVID, where regulation has come into the country, almost 1,000 more companies have been added in the manufacturing space. So there is an ecosystem which is developing in the country, and plus the electronic manufacturing, because you see medical is also medical electronics. A lot of our home care products are electronic based. It's a digital thermometer or a pulse oximeter and so on, glucometers and so on. So a lot of this medical, electronic manufacturing will help medical industry to grow faster in the country. And that will lead to more acceptance. Today, let's say India made iPhones. Whatever we are doing today, even small assembly, small make in India component which is coming in. But in next 5 to 10 years, you will see a large part of that component will be manufactured in the country. Same thing will happen for medical technology, because we are an industry which is subset of electronics industry in some part, in some way. Some part of that medical electronics, even CT scan, MRI machines, a lot of parts will get manufactured in the country. So with that landscape changing, ecosystem changing, supplier base developing in the country, I think there's a lot more opportunity for India to export medical devices, in next 5-10 years.
Music to the ears. Keep up the good work, Mr. Baid. Thanks for taking the time out and lovely talking to you today. All the best.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And the pleasure was ours. And viewers, thanks for tuning into this conversation with Medicure.